Well, I feel lucky to be able to answer this question somewhat, since I attended the ordinance committee meeting last Monday night and was just at a farm on Natick Road. I think when anybody is looking at Western Cranston, they have to look at the water tables. They don't need to talk to developers, they need to talk to environmentalists. They need to see what that land is like. What is the person who's going to build at the top of the hill with that development going to do to the people who live at the bottom of the hill? This is a neighborhood. This is a large area. We like to say we are a beautiful state, and we are. We have wonderful resources. 80 houses built somewhere in Cranston, which I'm still looking to find out approximately where this developer wants to put 80 houses. Even before knowing where it is, it sounds like a disaster. This is a small state. We ought to be able to control our environment and our land use. We have voices. We need to make those voices heard. Again, I am not against development, and I am not against businesses, but I am for the safety and security of our neighborhoods. For somebody to buy a house and find out a month later that they are living by a quarry that explodes twice a week, so they have cracks in their house, doesn't seem right. I don't know about everybody else here, but I live on a very straitened circumstances. And if I have invested in a house, I want to make sure that I'm going to be safe in that house. So when we're talking about Western Cranston, we have a lot of people who do not feel safe. We need to protect those lands.
Thank you. Councilman Farina.
You know, living in Western Cranston, I think that last statement of people talking about people in Ward 4 being unsafe about lands, I really don't think is true. Having lived there mostly all of my life, with the only time I did not live there was the 2 years I lived in my house in Ward 2 and the couple years I went to college. I love the rural aspect of Ward 4. That's why I moved back there and bought a house there. I believe Ward 4, you know, it's like anything else in the city when you're an elected official. You have to balance the needs of the neighborhoods against the needs of the city. Sometimes development will create tax dollars, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. I think in Ward 4 we've done that effectively when you look at some of the areas and houses where people requested a zone change on Peppermill Lane and Alpine Estates. And we as a council looked at it, analyzed it, and felt that that wouldn't be the right thing to do. So we denied it to keep it open space. Those have come up before. They come up all the time. There's a good few chunks of land that are still owned by developers. A lot of people like to call them open space, but they're only open space because it's A80 in Western Cranston and it's not cost effective for them to build homes. So I think you need to look very carefully at how you manage that. There are a lot of people who are very wealthy, who own a lot of land in Western Cranston, and they're looking to try to make that property A20 so they can build houses. The areas near Hope Highland School that are being built by Mr. Purcern, that area is all zoned A20, so those houses are all being built. They're putting, I believe, 30 houses on that location. That's phase one of the development. There's another piece of land behind it that is between the area of Cohasset Road and Phoenix Ave. They're building 10 homes there. They're looking for areas in Western Cranston that are zoned A20. They're buying them from homeowners, and they're building homes. So open space is going to dissipate, and we have to be very vigilant in Western Cranston and make sure we're doing things that stops them from building houses and leaves the area A80. So that's my vision for Western Cranston.
Thank you. Councilman Stichels.
Well, a number of years ago, the voters passed an open space bond, and that hasn't been, there's still bonding authority, borrowing authority to buy open space. So I would favor buying strategic parcels in the western part of the city. And I don't think it's a choice between open space or farmland. I think we have to protect the farmland, which you can do through easements. But it's turning into a choice between forests or farms on the one hand, or solar farms on the other hand. And I think the council, with the mayor's recommendation, opened western Cranston to large solar farms. And none of these have been built yet, but you're going to see a lot of solar farms where there used to be trees and farmland. And we need to put some restrictions on that before it's too late, and we need to buy some open space land.
Thank you. Amy?
I mean, I live in Mystery Farms. I live around the area where they've actually been talking about. I've grown up in the farms. I love looking at them. I love that the part where it's quiet there, it's rural, it's nice. My vision for that area is I don't really want it to be that built up, because I don't know if it's good for that. Because I mean, it's just everyone used to love the quietness, and that's what.
Sarah?
I feel like there's a lot of pressure to build up the easy-to-get parcels, these open spaces, and there's other areas of Cranston that could be developed or revitalized, and we should be encouraging through, I don't know, promoting state grants and things like that, just developers to be revitalizing our cities and city centers. I think it's a short-term gain of a few that's served when you put the solar farms on the farmland, and it would be better for us to have that as farmland and have our locally grown food sources closer. I think that there's water table definitely to pay attention to. When I was in the council before, I had a lot of calls about water in people's basements, because there used to be just one house behind them, and now there's three, and now they never used to have water coming in the basements. I think that with global warming, we'll probably see bigger storms and more water, more intense rains, and that's a source of anxiety for anyone who's had a lot of water in their basement. So we have to sort of pay attention to how we use that land. Even if it's zoned A20, we should be very, very careful, because we will ruin it for the long term, because a few people want to gain financially for the short term.
10 seconds.
I'm done.
Okay.
There you go.
Councilman Hopkins?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Just recently, we had an ordinance committee meeting in which a developer came in and wanted to change the zoning from A20 to put houses in right across the street from Western Hills Middle School. And it was voted down unanimously by the committee as a vote of 5-0 against the developer, so that we listen to the people that live in that area across from Western Hills, because there's an increase of development up on the top of Situate Avenue that's changing the water flow coming down. Some of them had concerns about potential basement flooding, the flowing of the river that was rising over the last few years. So we did listen to the people in that area and voted unanimously not to allow a zoning change. As far as the solar panels are concerned, I think it's a good investment for the future. I don't think building houses is a good investment, because with that comes a cost. You have to maintain the roads, you have to police, you have to have fire, you have to educate the kids, and building multiple developments up in the Western Cranston, I don't think is a good idea because of the cost that comes with it. I think the solar panels, for the present time, a pretty good investment, because we do get a return that does stabilize our tax base out in that area. So again, I would be opposed to any type of development out in the western area. And again, I do support the open spaces out in that neighborhood.